Adding animated graphics to your website or your email newsletter or even your social media stories is a great way of grabbing attention and creating a bit of interest. And while professional animators are worth their weight in gold, for you and I, we can still use simple but powerful tools like Canva to create some really cool animated graphics to up-level our visuals. So today I'm going to show you 3 quick ways to create animated graphics to add a little style and creativity to your brand materials. A couple of things to note first. When we create these graphics, we're going to create and export animated GIFs. And there's a couple of things that's helpful to remember about GIFs. The first is that currently in Canva, you can't export GIFs with a transparent background. So that means that the best way to do it is to create your GIF on the same color background as the page it's ultimately going to be used on. Now, there are some tools online that you can use for free to remove the background of a GIF, but to keep it simple, we're going to use the matching color process today. The second thing to remember is that animated GIFs, or GIFs in general, are designed to be used at a small size, small dimensions. They don't scale very well, so you can't click and drag them and make them bigger because they will lose all resolution. And if you do create a GIF with large dimensions, it will also come with a huge file size. So it's best to kind of think about how you're going to use it, where you're going to use it, and make sure that the size is appropriate so that you don't bloat the file sizes and slow down your website. And for the record, I was at a business retreat with the founder of Giphy, the online library for GIFs, and he assured me that it is pronounced GIF and not GIF. So, do with that information what you will. Using icons in your web design is a great way of signposting information and breaking up blocks of text and other info so that it's easier for people to scan, it's easier for them to remember and understand, and if you add animations to those icons, it takes it to a whole new level and really keeps people's attentions. So the first thing we're going to do today is look at a couple of ways to create simple, elegant icons that are animated for use in your materials. So what I'm going to do is start with a simple Instagram post layout. As I mentioned, the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have the background color set to match the page that we're ultimately going to use this GIF on. Now, the simplest way to create an animated icon is really to search for elements within Canva for an icon that you want, and then filter by animated so that you can see the ones that already have an animation built in. You can then just browse for those and look for one that works for you. Now, ideally, we want to keep icons simple so that they read at very small sizes, which is important for mobile devices, and they have a consistent style or color palette that ties into your brand. Now, some of these icons within Canva, including the animated ones, allow you to edit the colors, which is ideal if you want to customize them. So, for example, I want to use a clock icon on the sales page for my new course. So I searched for clocks and filtered by animation, and I found this icon. I'm just going to pull colors from my brand color palette, which is installed in my brand kit in Canva, and I'm going to edit it so that it reflects the colors I want for the sales page. And now that's ready for me to just export and use on that page, and we'll come to exporting later. But what if I can't change the color of the icon? Well, there's a couple of ways that you can still work around that. In Canva, you could look for an animated icon that's just plain black or white, and then you could layer that over a colored shape in Canva. You could search the elements library for an animated shape that you could recolor or use, or you could even use a static shape in Canva and just animate it using one of Canva's built-in animations. Then you could just place that simple static icon over the shape, and you have a subtle but really effective animation. And remember, you can always layer elements to create a style or a look and feel that matches your brand. And you can then replicate that and customize it slightly for each icon so that they end up feeling like a consistent set of icons and they match your brand identity. A quick tip when you're searching for these animated icons is to use the search term Lottie. And you'll see you get a huge range of animations, the majority of which allow you to customize the colors. This is a part of a collection called Lottie Files, which is a library of scalable files and animations that Canva has an integration and an app for. There's lots to explore with Lottie Files, so I may just do another video on only that, but just using that search term will help to find animated icons and graphics that you can usually change the colors of. Whether it's your newsletter sign-off or the About Me section on your sales page or your website, Having a photo of you there allows people to connect with you. They start to identify with you and they get to know the human behind the brand. But sometimes you want to add a bit of flair. So here's a couple of ideas to add some subtle, elegant animations to your headshot. First of all, I want to create an animated sign-off for my newsletter. So I'm going to start using a Facebook video design because it's square and it also has the video tools. And on the first page of that, I'm going to add in my headshot in a round frame. Then what I'm going to do is duplicate that page. I'm going to scale down the headshot and move it to the side. And I'm going to add in some text with my name and my title. Then I'm going to add a third page, which is a copy of the first page again. Now, as we did in my previous video, which I will link to in the corner of this video, we can use Canva's match and move animation so that this automatically adds in some animations for us that are really slick and smooth and just adds some interest to the sign-off or the headshot that we have at the bottom of our email newsletter. A second way of adding some interest is to layer elements. Remember, in Canva, you can pull in multiple elements and layer them in a way that adds interest. So what we're going to do is add a simple frame and then add an animated element to give it a bit of depth. We're just going to pull in some animated graphics from the Elements library, and we're going to place them just around a simple round frame with our headshot in our brand colors, so that there is a little movement and it adds a little interest wherever that headshot is positioned. The third idea for adding some animation and some interest to your headshot is to create a slideshow headshot. So often when we have headshots done, or even if you take some photos for yourself, you'll have 3 or 4 that are very similar. Maybe you have a different facial expression or you're in a slightly different pose. We can actually use those as a slideshow. And instead of just having a static shot of our face, we can have a couple of images that change and create a bit of movement and give people the feeling that they're actually watching the photo shoot happen. So what we're going to do is start in the same way as we did the previous one. We'll just use a Facebook video and we're going to just add one of those photos onto that page. Then we're going to add a second page and put another one of the photos and a third page with the third photo. Now, a great way to make sure that these line up is to use the guides in Canva and just line up your eyes in the first photograph and reposition the second and third photographs so that they are roughly similarly placed. Now that we've aligned those 3 photographs and they're in the same place and the eyes are hopefully roughly in the same place, we're just going to add a simple animation or transition between these pages. And now when you play, you'll see it's just a little slideshow that brings the photo to life a little. You could again add a subtle moving shape behind it or maybe around it, and it becomes something that looks custom made but adds interest to your headshot. The secret with this kind of animation is always being restrained. Simple, subtle animations are so much more effective than things that are just there for flash but don't actually add anything to what you're creating. Before we create the third animated graphic, I do have a very special announcement. I am really excited to announce that my new Canva course will be opening for pre-sales on Cyber Monday. Now, if you want to learn how to up-level your Canva skills and feel confident and in control with using Canva, and in developing a system where you can manage your files and all of your brand elements within Canva without wasting time looking for things and trying to search for old files over and over. And if you're looking to keep up to date with the more powerful and more useful elements that are updated in Canva, then this is definitely going to be a course for you. Everyone who signs up and joins the pre-sale list will be offered a huge discount on the course price and also will help to determine the content of the course by voting for the topics and the subjects that are important to you and that you want to learn about in this course. This is not going to be some bloated course that feels like it's going to take forever and you never finish. This is focused, action-orientated, and it's designed specifically for you. The link is on the screen right now or in the description below the video, so please sign up, and as I say, you will be notified when pre-sale opens on the 27th of November, which is Cyber Monday. The third animated graphic that we're going to talk about today is a way of animating your signature or your sign-off. This one does require a little more than just Canva to work. This one requires us to do a screen recording. Now, this can be done on your phone, on your tablet, or even on your desktop, depending on how you're going to do this and what you're comfortable with. But if you wanted to create a sign-off that actually has your signature in motion being signed, then you'll probably want to do it on a phone or a tablet where you can get a little more movement and make it look a little more natural as you record. So using your chosen app or even the native screen recorder app on your device, we're just going to start recording. And the easiest way to do it is to just open up a blank document or presentation in Canva, choose the draw option from the tools on the left, change the color and the pen to whatever you prefer, and then sign your name or write your sign off. Then we're going to stop the screen recording and you're going to upload that screen recorded video to Canva. Once it's uploaded, we're going to insert the video into a standard design and we're going to crop it so that it's just the writing that can be seen. Then you could add that next to your headshot and trim it as needed, or you could just have it as it is. You could add an element over it that's animated in Canva that underlines it perhaps or adds a little sparkle. And that's basically all there is to it, to add a personalized sign-off to your email or even on your website. And of course, if your handwriting is enough to make a doctor gasp, like me, then you could do the same thing, except you could screen grab yourself typing your sign-off just in Google Docs or even in Apple Notes. Do the same thing, record the video, and then you could crop it just to the section where your typing is. And that also means that people get to see the little blinking cursor, which is the placeholder before you type, and it feels really interactive and like people are watching you type live while they're looking at your email on the screen. So the final thing left for us to do is to export these files. So to prepare them, what we're going to do is make sure that they are the right dimensions for our use. So in this example, you can see that the top and bottom of my headshot is essentially where I want this image to end, but there's a lot more page space above and below. If I click on the headshot and go to Position, Arrange, and then have a look under the Advanced section here, it will actually tell me what the width and height of that image is. Now, the width, I want to keep the whole page width because it also has those other elements there. But for the height, I want it to be cropped to about where this picture is, which for this one says 809 pixels. What I'm going to do is go to Magic Switch at the top, choose Custom Size, and for the height, I'm going to put in 812 to give a little bit of padding top and bottom of that picture. Once I've done that, I am just going to click on the Accept tab and Continue, and it will resize this design. If I open the resize design, you'll see there's a little padding top and bottom, but it's cropped much closer, which gives me a much neater image to export for my animation. Once you're happy with the size, as with most Canva designs, you just go to Download, scroll all the way down to GIF, and Export. You can also adjust the size here, and as I said before, try and keep it as small as possible. And that's it. In website builders and in most email marketing software, you can just upload a GIF like you would any other image, and it adds a little bit of animation and movement to your designs. If this was helpful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps me to promote the channel and for more people to see these tutorials. And don't forget to sign up for my pre-sale to get that huge discount on my Canva course. Pre-sale opens the 27th of November on Cyber Monday. Have a fabulous week, and I will see you next week.